Hey everyone, welcome to the holiday edition of my monthly melody videos. Today we're going to be looking at a beautiful carol called Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. One of my favorites, a really beautiful, heartfelt carol. I wrote out the melody in two different keys. One is a beginner version of the melody in the key of G that hangs around the really lower register of the bass. You don't have to shift your hand too much to play the whole thing. And then there's an intermediate version in the key of C. And that goes a little bit higher. That's up into this danger zone area in the middle of the bass. So you'll notice that kind of a couple different things about the sheet music. If you look at it, one is the melody is written out in a really simple way, mostly quarter notes and eighth notes. There's a few triplets, which we'll talk about in the B part, which is the bridge or the middle part of the song. But otherwise, you're looking at quarter notes and eighth notes. And I'll play the versions that I have written. That being said, it's open to interpretation. The rhythm of this melody can really be, taken at your own pace, and you can create it your own way. And I'll demonstrate how to do that as well. And this is kind of coming from a more improvisatory style of playing melodies, something more in the jazz vein. And this tune was, performed by a lot of great jazz musicians for sure. And I also have a little handy backing track, and I'll talk about the application I'm using for that as well, for those of you who are interested in, downloading it and playing along with it. So, maybe first I'll just play through the melody. I'll do both melodies in the key of G and then the key of C. Just the way I wrote it out. And I have my handy backing track here. This is iReal Pro. And some of you may already know about this, but it's a really handy application that has all the chord changes down for different tunes. And there's these huge playlists you can download with all this material. I just found a holiday playlist on their website and downloaded it, found Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, put it in the key of G. You can transpose it. And it has a nice little rhythm section to play along to. So here's the version in G. Here comes that B part. Oh yeah, what a beautiful tune. So that's it in the key of G. Like you saw that my hand isn't really moving very much at all. C gets a little bit more shifting, up and down the neck. So what I'll do is I'll just take my little app here. It says the key on the bottom right. Find C, which is the kind of traditional key for the tune, and voila. the version in C. Oh, got me to do that. You'll see at the very end of that version, when it goes up to the very high spot at the end, I'm coming across the string for that, have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Instead of going all the way back down, I'm coming across. So that's the E on the G string, F on the A string, double string jump there. First finger on the A on the D string, fourth finger on the C on the D string, back to the E. Sorry, I meant E at the beginning there. That's the E on the G string with my second finger this time. And then, so let me just start one more time. And then coming back down. I'll play that whole thing one more time. Economy of motion, right? You can play that whole figure up in this area so you don't have to shift down and come back up. You'll also notice like the eighth notes in this are swung. They're slightly swung, and that means that instead of playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and like that, and those ands being the eighth notes, I'm relaxing those a bit. Kind of a good way to put it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And that's obviously a super common thing in jazz music. That eighth note is going to be swung. It's going to feel a little bit more behind than it typically does, in music that has straight eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and straight eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and swung eighths. You can hear the difference, pretty drastic. So every time you see an eighth note in the score, to try to incorporate that feel. And if you play along with this backing track, it'd actually be a lot easier because this backing track has that relaxed swung feel in there. And then in the B part, there's those moments with triplets. It kind of sounds like this. So it's the 1, 2, 3, triplet, da da da, triplet, da da da, triplet, 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 triplet. And triplets mean you're taking one beat of a measure and dividing it into 3 equal parts. So the fourth beat, for instance, in this instance, is being divided into 3 equal parts. The first one is connected to the previous note. And the next 2 are triplet, triplet. I'll play the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 and a fourlet. Fourlet. I like that. It's like triplet with a 4 at the beginning. So you'll see those in the B part, and don't be afraid of them. You can count it out, if you just put this track on, you can try to go. Maybe I'll demonstrate. Triplet, 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's a swung eighths. Triplets, triplet, 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 eighths, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's a good counting exercise, actually, I suggest that. You can, find this application or just a version of this song. Maybe I'll include a version of this song with swung eighth notes in the description as well, so you can practice along with that. And, so like I said, the melodies I was playing before are really, really basic, straightforward rhythms. The triplet's a little complicated, but it's very necessary for the tune, so I put it in there. Otherwise, you're seeing quarter notes and you're seeing eighth notes. But the way I wrote it isn't necessarily the way you have to play the tune. It's pretty free to interpretation. I think the one thing I'd say is make sure you can still hear that melody. Pretty much you want the melody notes to be there, and you want if you know the words, and knowing the words to a song is so important, try to know these words if you don't already, and make sure the words are pronounced through the bass, if that makes sense. Like, obviously if you go, have yourself a merry little Christmas, all those words are there. But if you're doing something like, that sounds almost more like you're opening up into a solo of some sort. It sounds cool, but it's not really playing the melody. You're adding too many embellishments, too many extra notes. So let me demonstrate this in the key of C. Here's a version that isn't written down. That's the first half of the melody, at least. My interpretation, just came up with that on the spot, right? But I'm hearing the melody in my head. I'm singing the words in my head. And that's the way to do it, to come up with something that's uniquely your own. Excuse me. So that's kind of the goal with a melody like this. You want to be able to do it differently every time, but still make it really recognizable and make sure that it sounds like the version that I wrote out for you, but has your own twist on it. And it's a little bit more intriguing, maybe rhythmically. So have fun with this, y'all, and happy holidays again. And I'll see you next time.